What if everything you've been taught about manifestation is just the surface of something far more profound? What if hidden within the most guarded archives of ancient wisdom lies a method so powerful that it was deliberately concealed for centuries, known only to a secret brotherhood that understood the very mechanics of reality itself? There's something stirring in your life right now. You might not have named it yet, but you feel it, that pull towards something greater, that knowing that conventional approaches to creating your reality are leaving you hungry for deeper truth. You're sensing that behind the popular manifestation techniques lies an ancient science, precise as mathematics, powerful as lightning, and as transformative as the alchemical fire that turns lead into gold. Today you're going to discover the closely guarded manifestation secrets of the Rosicrucians, a mystical order whose teachings on thought vibrations and mental influence have remained hidden in plain sight for over 400 years. These aren't feel-good affirmations or wishful thinking. These are precise techniques based on what the Rosicrucians call the 7 Hermetic laws, laws that govern how consciousness creates reality at the quantum level of existence. If you're feeling that this message has reached you at exactly the right moment, that's not coincidence. That's the first Rosicrucian principle already at work in your life. The universe operates through what they called sympathetic resonance, and you're beginning to vibrate at the frequency that attracts this ancient wisdom. Subscribe to this channel, because what you're about to learn will fundamentally shift how you approach manifestation forever. The Rosicrucians emerged in early 17th century Europe as a secret society that issued manifestos calling for an enlightened revolution. Yet their true origins trace back to mystery schools of ancient Egypt and the Hermetic traditions that understood consciousness as the fundamental creative force of the universe. Unlike modern manifestation teachings that focus on emotional states and visualization, the Rosicrucians developed a systematic science based on what they discovered about the vibrational nature of thought itself. Their founder, known only as Christian Rosenkreutz, spent years in the Middle East learning from masters who had preserved the original teachings about mental creation. When he returned to Europe, he established the Brotherhood around a revolutionary understanding that humans could achieve transformation on all levels of being through systematic spiritual development. But this wasn't just personal transformation. This was about learning to consciously participate in the creation of physical reality. The first secret they discovered changes everything about how you approach manifestation. They called it the principle of vibrational correspondence. Most people try to manifest by focusing on what they want, but the Rosicrucians understood that the physical world is merely the densest vibration of consciousness itself. Everything you see around you, your home, your relationships, your financial situation, is consciousness vibrating at different frequencies and speeds. The breakthrough comes when you realize that you don't attract what you want, you attract what you are vibrationally. The Rosicrucians developed precise methods to shift their core vibrational frequency first, knowing that external circumstances would automatically rearrange themselves to match this new internal reality. This is why their manifestations happened with what seemed like supernatural speed. They weren't trying to change the outer world. They were changing the frequency of consciousness that creates the outer world. But here's where it gets profound. The Rosicrucians discovered that most people live in what they called inverted creation. Instead of consciousness creating matter, we let matter dictate our consciousness. We look at our current circumstances and let them determine how we think and feel, which only perpetuates more of the same circumstances. The ancient masters learned to reverse this process completely. Their second secret involves what they termed the sacred marriage, the union of will and imagination. They understood that true manifestation power comes through exercises in concentration, visualization, and mental creation. But this wasn't casual daydreaming. This was precision work with the creative faculties of consciousness. Imagination, they discovered, is the womb of creation, the feminine principle that gestates new realities. Will is the masculine principle that directs and focuses this creative power. When these two forces unite in consciousness through their specific techniques, manifestation accelerates exponentially because you're working with the same principles that create galaxies and orchestrate the dance of subatomic particles. They developed what they called the chamber of reflection technique. You create a sacred space in consciousness where you regularly withdraw from the sensory world to commune with the invisible forces that shape reality. In this inner chamber, you don't just visualize what you want. You commune with the archetypal patterns that exist in what they called the Akashic realm, the subtle dimension where all possibilities exist simultaneously. Here's something that will shift your entire approach. The Rosicrucians never manifested specific things. They manifested archetypal patterns and let the universe determine the perfect physical form for those patterns to take. Instead of trying to manifest a specific job, they would invoke the archetype of meaningful service and abundant compensation. Instead of manifesting a particular person, they would invoke the archetype of divine love and perfect companionship. This is infinitely more powerful because archetypes are the templates that create all physical forms. When you align with an archetype, you're working with the universe's own creative intelligence rather than your limited personal mind's ideas about what you think you need. If this is resonating with something deep inside you, something that recognizes these truths even though you may be hearing them for the first time, hit that subscribe button now. You're not just subscribing to a channel, you're saying yes to remembering knowledge that your soul has carried across lifetimes, wisdom that wants to emerge through you in this time of global awakening. The third Rosicrucian secret involves the law of rhythmic return. Everything in the universe moves in cycles: breathing, heartbeats, seasons, planetary orbits, economic cycles, even the expansion and contraction of space itself. The masters learned to time their manifestation work with these natural rhythms, understanding that there are windows when the fabric of reality becomes more malleable, more responsive to conscious intention. They discovered that manifestation isn't a linear process but a spiral one. Energy goes out into the invisible realm, gathers power and allies, then returns transformed. The key is learning to release your intentions into these natural cycles, rather than trying to force results through constant mental effort. This is why they developed such patience and precision. They were working with cosmic timing, not human impatience. Most people sabotage their manifestations by checking constantly to see if they're working. The Rosicrucians learned the sacred art of release. They would plant their intentions like seeds, then tend to their own inner garden while trusting the invisible forces to orchestrate the perfect timing and circumstances for manifestation. But there's something even more profound happening when you work with these rhythmic cycles. You begin to feel held by intelligence far greater than your personal mind. You start to sense that the universe itself is conspiring to support your highest potential. This isn't just positive thinking. This is direct experience of the underlying unity that the Rosicrucians called the universal life force. The fourth secret touches the very core of why most manifestation attempts fail. The Rosicrucians discovered that the human personality, with all its wants and needs and fears, is actually the greatest obstacle to true manifestation. They learned to align their personal will with what they called the divine will, the evolutionary impulse of consciousness itself. This sounds abstract, but it's intensely practical. When your desires align with the larger patterns of growth and awakening, you have the entire universe supporting your manifestation. When your desires come from ego needs and personal grasping, you're working against the natural flow of life. The masters developed systematic ways to purify their intentions until they became transparent channels for cosmic creativity. They practiced what they called dying before death, systematically releasing attachment to personal outcomes while simultaneously becoming more passionate about serving the larger purpose of consciousness evolution. This paradox creates tremendous manifestation power because you're no longer contracting around personal needs. You become a clear channel for life force to move through. When you reach this level of practice, manifestation becomes effortless because you're no longer trying to get something from a universe. You're offering yourself as a vehicle for the universe to express more beauty, more love, more creativity through physical form. Your personal needs get met as a natural byproduct of this larger service. But here's what transformed everything for the Rosicrucians. They discovered that consciousness is not produced by the brain. Consciousness is the fundamental reality of which the brain, and all matter, are temporary modifications. This wasn't philosophy for them. This was direct experience cultivated through their precision practices. When you truly grasp that you are consciousness playing at being a human personality, rather than a human personality trying to become more conscious, everything about manifestation shifts. You're no longer trying to manipulate reality from the outside. You realize that you are the reality that's pretending to be solid and separate. The fifth and most profound secret involves what they called the great work, the conscious participation in the universe's own creative evolution. They understood that true manifestation begins as concentration, evolves into aspiration, and finally becomes dynamic will. At the highest levels, manifestation happens not through personal effort, but through surrender to the creative intelligence that's continuously birthing new realities. This is where manifestation becomes a form of worship, a sacred collaboration with a mystery that dreams worlds into existence. You're no longer trying to improve your personal life situation. You're offering your consciousness as sacred space for new possibilities to emerge through you into physical form. The Rosicrucians developed what they called the Rose Cross meditation. The rose represents the flowering of consciousness, the full blooming of human potential. The cross represents matter, the intersection of spirit and form. When these symbols unite in consciousness, you become a living bridge between the invisible realm of pure potential and the visible realm of manifested form. In this meditation, you don't visualize getting things you want. Instead, you offer your entire being as sacred soil for whatever wants to be born through you. You become pregnant with possibilities that serve not just your personal evolution, but the awakening of consciousness itself. This is why Rosicrucian manifestations carried such power and precision. They weren't personal desires trying to rearrange circumstances. They were evolutionary impulses expressing through human consciousness for the benefit of the whole. When you manifest from this level, you have access to creative power that would be impossible from personal will alone. The ancient masters understood something that modern science is just beginning to glimpse. Consciousness and matter are not separate phenomena. They are complementary expressions of a more fundamental reality that the Rosicrucians called the universal solvent, the invisible medium that allows form to emerge from emptiness and return to emptiness in endless creative cycles. When you align with this understanding, manifestation becomes as natural as breathing. You're not forcing your will upon resistant matter. You're collaborating with the same intelligence that grows trees from seeds, forms galaxies from cosmic dust, and transforms caterpillars into butterflies. You become a conscious participant in the alchemy that is continuously transforming the universe. But perhaps the most practical secret involves what they called the Hermetic mirror. Before attempting to manifest anything external, the Rosicrucians would examine their own consciousness to see what internal pattern was creating their current circumstances. They understood that the outer world is always a perfect reflection of inner states, often revealing subconscious patterns that we're not consciously aware of. If you want to manifest abundance but your life reflects scarcity, the Rosicrucians would say that somewhere in your consciousness, you're running scarcity patterns. Instead of trying to override these patterns with positive thinking, they developed methods to transform the core beliefs and emotional patterns that create reality from the inside out. This inner work isn't about fixing what's wrong with you. It's about remembering the unlimited creative being that you truly are beneath all the conditioning and false identities. The Rosicrucians understood that we are each individualized expressions of the same consciousness that creates and sustains the entire universe. As we move toward the completion of this journey together, I want you to feel what's happening in your energy field right now. These aren't just concepts you're learning, they're frequencies you're remembering. Somewhere deep inside, you recognize this wisdom because it's the same intelligence that beats your heart and grows your fingernails and dreams your dreams each night. The Rosicrucians knew that true teaching happens not through information transfer, but through transmission, the direct communication of awakened consciousness to consciousness. If you felt something shifting inside you as we've explored these secrets together, that's the beginning of your own inner rose cross beginning to bloom. The final secret I want to share brings everything full circle. The Rosicrucians discovered that the fastest path to manifestation is through what they called sacred service. When your desires align with what wants to emerge for the highest good of all beings, you tap into manifestation power that transcends anything available to personal will alone. This doesn't mean denying your individual needs and desires. It means discovering how your unique gifts and talents can serve the larger awakening that's happening in human consciousness. Right now, when you find this alignment, abundance flows naturally because you become a clear channel for life force to express through you. Think about the most fulfilled people you know. They're not usually the ones who have manifested the most impressive personal achievements. They're the ones who have found ways to let their unique essence contribute to something larger than themselves. This is the ultimate Rosicrucian teaching, that true manifestation happens when personal will becomes transparent to divine will. But here's what makes this practical and immediate. You don't have to wait until you've perfected yourself spiritually to begin working with these principles. You can start exactly where you are, with whatever challenges and dreams you're currently facing. The Rosicrucian path is designed to transform you through engagement with life, not by withdrawing from life. Begin with a chamber of reflection practice. Set aside time each day to withdraw into inner stillness and commune with the archetypal patterns that want to express through your unique life circumstances. Don't try to figure out how your desires will manifest. Instead, feel into the vibrational essence of what you truly want, the feeling of meaningful work, the experience of loving partnership, the sense of financial flow and creative fulfillment. Hold these archetypal frequencies in consciousness while remaining open to how they might manifest in ways beyond your current imagination. Trust that the same intelligence that orchestrates the complexity of your cellular biology and the precision of planetary orbits is fully capable of orchestrating the perfect circumstances for your desires to manifest. The Rosicrucians also practiced what they called conscious gratitude, appreciation not just for what has already manifested, but for what is in the process of manifesting in the invisible realm. This isn't pretending to be grateful for things you don't have. This is recognizing that the creative process is already in motion, that your desires have already been heard and responded to by the universe's creative intelligence. As you deepen into these practices, you'll notice that your relationship with manifestation begins to transform. You become less attached to specific outcomes and more committed to the quality of consciousness you bring to each moment. You realize that the highest manifestation isn't getting what you want, it's becoming someone who naturally attracts circumstances that reflect their awakened state of being. This is the ultimate Rosicrucian teaching. You don't need to manifest a different life. You need to awaken to the magnificence of the consciousness that you already are, and let that awakening transform how life expresses through you. When you approach manifestation from this understanding, results happen with a speed and precision that would seem miraculous from conventional approaches. Before we complete this journey together, I want to share something personal with you. The deepest truth is that these aren't really ancient secrets at all. They're the natural functioning of consciousness when it's not distorted by fear, limitation, and the illusion of separation. The Rosicrucians simply preserved and systematized the remembrance of what you truly are beneath all the conditioning. You are not a small, limited being trying to manipulate a resistant universe. You are consciousness itself, playing at being human, temporarily forgetting your true nature so that you can experience the joy of remembering it again. This entire physical reality is your own consciousness, projected outward like images on a movie screen, so that you can explore the infinite creativity of your own being. When you truly understand this, manifestation becomes not about getting things from an external universe, but about consciously choosing what expressions of your own infinite creativity you want to explore in physical form. This is why the Rosicrucians could manifest with such precision and speed. They weren't working against reality, they were working as reality, consciously choosing its expressions. The invitation now is to begin living from this recognition. Not as a belief or philosophy, but as a direct exploration of your true creative nature. Start with small experiments. Choose to manifest parking spaces, green lights, unexpected gifts, meaningful synchronicities. Use these experiences to build trust in your own creative power. But don't stop there. The Rosicrucians knew that personal manifestation was just the beginning. The real work is learning to manifest in service of consciousness evolution itself, to become a clear channel for beauty, wisdom, and love to express more fully in physical form. I invite you to share your own experiences with these principles in the comments below. What have you begun to notice about your own creative power as you've listened to these teachings? What synchronicities have shown up? What insights have emerged? Your story might be exactly what another person needs to hear to remember their own infinite creative potential. Remember, these aren't just techniques to practice. They're reminders of the extraordinary being that you truly are. The Rosicrucians understood that all manifestation is ultimately self-manifestation, the endless creativity of consciousness exploring its own infinite nature through countless unique expressions. You are one of those expressions, completely unprecedented and irreplaceable. The universe has never created another being exactly like you, and never will again. Your unique perspective, gifts, and dreams are not personal accidents. They're conscious choices made by the intelligence that creates galaxies, so that it can experience reality through your particular combination of awareness and creativity. The ancient Rosicrucian masters are not figures from the past. They are representatives of the awakened consciousness that lives within you right now, waiting for your recognition and activation. These teachings are not historical information. They are present-moment invitations to remember and embody the unlimited creative being that you have always been. As you begin to work with these principles, trust what emerges. Trust the synchronicities. Trust the insights. Trust the gradual transformation of your life circumstances. Most importantly, trust the growing recognition that you are not separate from the creative intelligence that orchestrates the entire universe. You are that intelligence, localized in time and space for the purpose of conscious creation. The Rose Cross is blooming in human consciousness right now, in this time of profound planetary transformation. Ancient wisdom is emerging not as outdated teachings, but as timeless principles that are more relevant now than ever before. You are part of this emergence, a conscious participant in the greatest manifestation project in human history, the awakening of humanity to its true creative nature. Welcome to the great work. Welcome to conscious participation in the universe's own creative evolution. Welcome to the remembrance of who you truly are and what you came here to manifest through your unique and precious human life. The ancient secrets are no longer secret. They live within you, waiting for your recognition and activation. The only question now is, what will you choose to create?